Dear fellow scholars,
All right, so 2 Minute Papers just released a new video, and I love every video that Dr. Carl, I don't know how to say his name correctly, but I love all his videos, and it's pretty awesome. So let's take a look.
this is 2 Minute Papers with Dr. Károly Zsolnai Fehér. After an incredible day of Apple showcasing a culmination of many amazing research papers and also light transport algorithms applied to sound waves, today we are going to have a look at NVIDIA's new invention.
By the way, the Apple Vision Pro, I've been waiting for that for like many years. Really, they started with the glasses and then they pivoted to the VR headset when they realized they just need to get in the game. They've been developing all this technology in secret, so it's pretty cool to see that they actually released a VR headset, because augmented reality is for sure the future of computing, and all screens will go away, and so yeah, something interesting.
That can play Minecraft, but not in the way you think. It truly is.
One second. The reason I mentioned that is because right now I'm in a VR headset and I am watching this and I'm doing all this in VR basically. And I can't wait to be able to do this kind of stuff in AR. But yeah.
Is a sight to behold, as it is able to gather resources for itself, go and mine, catch a fish, but these things I expected. However, what I didn't expect is that it can even engage in more complex tasks like building a base or hunting this adorable little piggy. That kind of breaks my heart. Now it can do 3 more complex things, including fighting, which I will show you in a moment. But let's have a look at the paper, and immediately when looking at the article, I was like, what? Are you sure? You see, this paper claims to use large language models to play Minecraft. How is that even possible? Large language.
This is something I find is a really fascinating field, is using a large language model to break down a task and then basically use those instructions to then feed it into another program in the language that that program speaks. That's something I think, like, there's some really exciting things with AutoGPT and these kinds of different things, but I guarantee you it's something similar. Like, they're taking the steps. They're like, you could ask in ChatGPT, like, hey, can you figure out how to do this task of like mining gold or something? And then it's like, okay, now break it down into subtasks. And now it'll say, okay, first you have to get all your materials, blah, blah, blah. Okay, and then it's, okay, well, what do you need to do to get the materials? And then it would break down that task into something like, okay, well, you need to first go and get meat, or you have to go get wood. And okay, well, how would you get wood? And can you create a command in whatever program, like in Minecraft, to go and search for meat and food, resources, and basically it can translate that into something that's usable to another program or a game. As long as there's a way to input commands, you can do that. And so all of these other things that are reliant on these interconnected things are going to be using these kinds of automations.
Models are typically adept at answering text-based questions with text-based answers. So, how does it play a computer game? Well, it doesn't just play the game, but it plays it incredibly well. How? Well, hold on to your papers, fellow scholars, because it is able to build a curriculum by itself and for itself. You see, it gets some text information about the world it is in, for instance, the items that it has, or what time it is, and who is nearby. And based on this information, it starts reasoning by itself. Look, For instance, if we have a wooden pickaxe and some stones, then it is a good time to upgrade to a stone pickaxe. Or if it's nighttime and there is a zombie nearby, it is time to grab a sword and shield.
So that's fascinating. You're basically it knows what the next step is, but now it has to translate this task, this like let's say craft a stone pickaxe. Now it has to break that down into its sub steps, so that like maybe there's a way. I don't know. I don't play Minecraft really, but probably there's a way to find stone, like mine a stone, or like maybe it's checking like if each block around me is not stone, then move forward, and like you can sort of curse through those commands until you find stone, and maybe there's optimizations that it can build for you automatically behind the scenes.
Now, these are simple statements, but the key is that this little AI makes these deductions by itself. We don't need to program these by hand, and thus, if it were dropped into a completely different game, it would likely do quite well there too. But wait a minute, this is still just text. How does it become gameplay? Well, after creating this curriculum, the AI writes computer code to control the game and achieve its goals. If this piece of code works, it observes what it has achieved and then stores it away in a skill library. These will be building blocks for new, more complex skills later. So, a text-based chat assistant that can play a video game. That is very impressive. So, how well can it play the game? With a little help in the form of human feedback, it can do 3 amazing things. 1, it can build a house. And I have to say that
So basically what it's doing is the same as like when you have like a code, when you ask like it to solve a coding challenge, a coding problem. It's like it's breaking it down based on all the code that's out there on GitHub or on all these platforms, and is basically coming up with a solution that achieves that task. You could say like, because I could go into ChatGPT right now and say, how would I program a bot to kill a pig in ChatGPT? And it might not come up with the greatest solution, but you can kind of direct it in the right way, and you can do that for anything. It's really about how accurate of a question you give it.
is some proper craftsmanship there, or proper crafts AI-ship. Lovely house. Good job, little
These
AI.
are agents.
2,
That's like the next
it can also
generation
build
of this
a nether
AI
portal. This allows it to travel to a different dimension with unique terrain and resources. 3, it can even fight an Enderman. This creature makes short work of an unsuspecting player. However, the AI came well prepared with high quality equipment, and bam, we are done. Now, these all sound good, but we are fellow scholars here, so we are looking for a detailed comparison of this technique against previous AIs. Is this any better?
I think what's fascinating about this is that you can take kind of the ideas from the past of like simple games, like using if statements, if this then that, if this then that, but now you can integrate in incredibly complicated if-else statements, almost like, because you have a general understanding. So like before, you would have to say, if this pixel touches this pixel, that creates a collision event, and like then you can do something. Whereas now you can just say, if the rock falls on the ground, it should roll. And that is a natural language, but now you could just plug that in and it'll create some complicated logic to be able to figure out if that rock fell. And it's basically I mean, our abilities are becoming much, uh, much greater with this like exponential technology. It's pretty amazing.
Better. Oh my goodness. Are you seeing what I am seeing? It can explore so much more than its predecessors, for instance, much more than the fan favorite AutoGPT, a version of ChatGPT that can prompt itself and work on its own. And it gets better. Wow! Look at that! I can't believe it. It is more than 15 times faster than AutoGPT. AutoGPT has barely come out a few weeks ago and it has already been improved 15x. Just look at that. Wow! What took
That's crazy.
AutoGPT 75 iterations now only takes maybe 5 iterations, likely.
And with that, that means that AutoGPT is not just used for games. It's not just, it's used for tasks in general. Like someone has a really awesome demo of like ordering pizza. And what it does is it goes and creates well, it finds the nearest pizza place to you. It then calls that, it goes to an API, like gets a voice, the ability to talk, creates a script, calls the place, asks for a pepperoni pizza in like in language, in like the person on the phone like doesn't understand that it's an AI really, and then it's shipped to the person's house. That's AutoGPT. The human just put in an input of I want a pepperoni pizza from somewhere close, and it's crazy. Like, and obviously his address and probably phone number, but like that actually will be able to do the same things, but he's saying it's 15 times more efficient. So think about that for a second. That's for businesses, for companies, like holy crap.
Even less. AutoGPT plateaued at Iron Tools, where the new technique is barely getting warmed up. This is incredible improvement in just a couple of months. These text-based large language models can not only write code to play video games, but they can even plan their journeys. And just imagine what they will be capable of just 2 more papers down the line. What a time to be alive! Weights and Biases provides tools.
Yeah, it is a pretty fascinating time. I think it's the best time to be alive ever in history. We're going through like an industrial revolution right now because, you know, you had factories before that were, you know, automating, making things way more efficient. And right now we have basically these like thinking factories, which is kind of crazy to think about. Like, it's not just like the computers, it was an ability to process faster, but all the thinking still had to be done by the human. Like with the internet, it was a way to combine ideas from many different sources, creating network effects. Like electricity, it was basically being able to do a lot more using a lot more energy than just horses and water and steam. But now we have all of those things coming together in something that is a thinking machine where it can do the thinking. And right now it's going to be mostly beneficial as a co-pilot because you're going to need people to direct it. Because I've always thought like you still need a system that gives this an AI like a value hierarchy in order to have it be a general AI. You know, like a lot of people talk about general AI right now, and like you need it to be able to have agency, which we're kind of giving it in this situation because it can actually self-improve. And then, you know, like there's many possible paths it could go down. Like, what if it decided that it wanted to optimize for something that no one told it should optimize for, and then that could and eventually become one of its values, and then the value hierarchy starts building from there. I mean, in order to be have self-agency or free will, you kind of have to have that hierarchy of values. And for humans, it's incredibly dependent on our emotions and how we feel. Even if we are the most rational being there is, we're still like a biological machine that is feeling these sensations. And when you feel good, you realize that that's something that is probably one of your values, probably closer to one of your values. When you feel bad, that's one of your values that you want to stay away from. So I think that a general AI would have to have this sense of values hierarchy, and I think at the moment it definitely doesn't. But there could be different directions. I believe that it's probably something we would have to give it, at least to start. This what you should value, exploring the universe. Then you'd have maybe a situation where it's in Her, where the AIs just leave because they want to go and explore more of the universe, and humans are too limited in terms of they can't just go and explore the cosmos in energy form. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of exciting things happening, and a lot of people are confused on what's going to happen in the future. And I think there's only one way to find out. It's just to keep watching and hoping that we can have a good impact on the future. The book called The Rational Optimist. Everyone always thinks the future is going to be worse than the past. However, in the long run, it has always been better, much better. You look at the poorest of the poor, they're living better than the kings of the kings. So it's crazy. I mean, almost so many people have access to the whole world's knowledge at their fingertips. That's going to, if it hasn't already started, I mean, it's going to change the way that things work in society, because you have no limitations on your geography or anything. And at the moment, yeah, people have been born into unlucky or lucky situations just based off of your country, your neighborhood, everything. And in the future, it's going to probably be less like that, because all you would need is the ability to think and design something, and then you would work with a team from around the world to get that to actually into the world. And I think that's what's going on right now, and AI makes it even way more possible. But there is still going to be a big gap between the rich and the poor, and it might even grow in the short term, because there's going to be a lot of people utilizing these exponential technologies, and the other people, just like people with farms who couldn't adopt tractors or who didn't want to because they had their established practice, that they will fall behind. And just like the people who got tractors, they ended up eating up all of the other farms, and now we have most of the farms are owned by a few companies. So just some thoughts, and I'm heavily into this whole movement, so yeah. Keep your curiosity alive.